Ever since the beginning, before soundtracks even existed, music was married to film. In the silent era, there would typically be a pianist, organist, or orchestra to accompany the film. There was some confusion in balancing music in the early days of talkies, but by the end of the 30s, largely by the hand of Max Steiner, soundtracks had become much as they are now.
I'll never be hungry again.
What makes a soundtrack effective? Well, you need context for one. What is the music being used for? Take the music used in The Sting, for example. The soundtrack for The Sting is comprised solely out of Scott Joplin rags. What does it do? It gives time, mood, and place. It draws you in. You feel the period they're in. Fits great, doesn't it? I wonder how it would fit with other movies. Yeah, it doesn't quite fit. John Williams' theme works a bit better, I think. Speaking of John Williams, something that makes soundtracks effective is how each individual piece is constructed around the scene, something John Williams is a champion of. When recording for a soundtrack, the soundtrack writers, who typically record the music, watch the film while conducting, to make sure the timing and inflection fits the film. Keep that in mind while watching the scene from Star Wars. This is a practice that has to be meticulously planned and timed, which is something that is far too often overlooked. The examples shown in The Sting and Star Wars fit incredibly well, and therefore work incredibly well, but that doesn't mean that there isn't room for contrast. Watching Jaws while listening to Joplin was a bad example of contrast, but that doesn't mean that opposites like that don't always work. Take the works of Martin Scorsese, for example. His usage of sweet-sounding, emotional, beautiful music accompanying dark, grisly images is an esteemed trademark of his. Just see this clip from Raging Bull. Works, does it not? Other times in soundtracks, they can add the world to a movie without you even noticing it's there. An example of these are the soundtracks of Hans Zimmer. Just listen to the music while watching this scene from The Dark Knight. I love it. It adds intensity, drive, and power, and if you asked me to hum it to you, I'd fail miserably doing so. Zimmer's scores tend to be atmospheric to the point of hardly being noticed. It greatly improves the movie, and you'd notice if it wasn't there. But it's subtle enough to not take attention away from the action, which is quite impressive, I think.
Unforgettable.
Soundtracks are diverse. They draw the audience in. They can terrify us, excite us. They can help us remember movies, and they can be what we remember most about movies. It's a highly impressive art form, and deserves to have an appreciative and analytical eye look at it once in a while.
Like a song of love that clings to me, how the thought of you does things to me. Never